Hi there, it's Fran from psychicandenergywork.com.au, and this is part 3 of my monthly observations for June 2025. Part 3 always looks at the MO for the month's chart. The MO literally tells us how life might give us a nudge, help us along, and encourage us to step further into our spiritual being. This June brings us two MOs, 14.5, which happens every year, but also 117, which reduces to 9. If you go through to the website psychicandenergywork.com.au, you will, in the third section of the observations, read a little bit about these dynamics. It's interesting because on one level, this video wants to highlight how the numbers 1, 4, 5, and 7, in a sense, can all require us to do the same thing. I could even say that all numbers do that. But anyway, what am I talking about? 9 is closure. The MO, the specific MO for this month is 1179. It's interesting because the birth number and also May's chart, in a sense, encouraged change, encouraged release. And of course, to birth new, we need to make space for new. And egoic self, in other words, overly mindful self or overly focused self, or even just model living self, that level of our being can be very reluctant to let go in completion. I've talked about that in part 2 video for this month, but I suppose what I want to highlight here is how when we are doing release work, it really pays to let go of the all. In other words, not just to let go on what we're fixating upon. Fixating might be too strong a word. It might just be, fearing, doubting, tensing up about. But sometimes we're doing that because it's not just our own tensions, fears, etc. It's other people's as well. Because we're collective beings, because we are thinking, feeling, intuitive beings, sentient beings, we will pick up on those vibes, some people more than others. And so when it comes to releasing, because at the end of the day, 4 is very much a mind number, or can be. 7, as I've said previously and also on the website, is very much a mind number. 5 can be action or chaos in a way that catapults us into mind and all of our fearful dialogues. So in a sense, this month's chart is saying that balance, which is the birth number level of chart, which you'll see in part 2 video, balance, peace, harmony, the right stuff, the good stuff. This month is very much here to promote more of that. How it might do that is through the MOs of 14.5 and 117. So in other words, how it might do that is to encourage people to let go to the next degree. Because the MO, the specific MO, is a 9, right? And because it's a 1179, so double 1 in itself is a master number. Because it's appearing in 117, you could say it's a bit subtle. It's a subtle presentation of that. But double 1 can very much encourage us into our adult self and therefore encourage us or corner us to mentor the egoic part of ourselves, our egoic narratives, our inner child, our childishness. This is interesting because when this vibe again partners up with a 7 and also 5s, whether it just be the hangovers of May's 5/5s or even the 5 that's appearing this month, that double 1 can therefore, shall we say, highlight the fact that, you know what, can you just take a big, deep breath and get on with it? Take a breath, take a moment, and then just do it. Because egoic self is a balker. Not necessarily the whole of egoic self, but that part that invariably hangs on the longest and therefore is the most resistant to change when it's not predicted, invited, or necessarily manifesting in a way that we're enjoying. Double one asks us to know ourselves as the being we are. In other words, it asks us to be confident about the fact that we are resilient, no matter who we are. We are resilient. We can handle a lot. And could be that you already have. But even if you have, that goes to prove how resilient you are. Double one is I can do it even if I've never done it before. Why? Because I don't have to have read a manual right now. I can read it later if I need to. I don't have to know everything right now. I'll learn it as I go. After all, I can ask questions however I do that. So 11, 7, 5 can very much catapult us into zones where our focus becomes so restricted onto the event or the dynamic or the goal that we're working with that we start to forget these things, our resilience, our ability, the fact that we're intuitive, the fact that the universe is real, the fact that, intuition flows even if you've got your headset on with your music turned up really loud. So this month, very much, don't be surprised if there are forces, or forces is probably too strong a word, but rhythms, dynamics, vibes, events that really encourage you to, you know what, clean it out now. Let go of it now. Spring clean it now. Make room for new. And we can only receive new if we've actually got enough room in our space, energetic space, receiving space, mind's eye space. Make room for the divine to drop in all the ways it can, whether it be as itself, as a vibe, whether it be even the unfolding that you're seeking or wanting or needing, or whether it be more than that. By creating the space, we actually make the space for newness to come, whether that newness is an insight, whether that is a healing, whether that's therefore an energetic shift, whether that's a real world event, whether it's a person shifting, changing gear, or even ourselves. All change is optimized. It's given the most room to do what it wants to do in an inclusive, considerate, kind, supportive way. Simply through that aspect of I breathe, I let go, I know the universe is real, I know that life is a river that contains more than enough, and so therefore I can't miss. Even that is an interesting construct, because sometimes when we're gripping, sometimes when we're fearing or doubting, part of that affirmation is about the fact of I might miss, I may not have the faculties, the abilities, the intuition even, to actually register the hints, the clues, the signs, the events that will come my way, as they always do, on whatever construct I'm focusing on. Intuition, if I only take that part of self, intuition can manifest in 5 ways, both very obvious and very subtle. So if intuition can manifest in all those ways, who's to say that what you're seeking next, what you think you're needing next, what you're wanting next, has to unfold in any particular way? 5s being 5s, 7 being 7. In other words, I can know so much that I start to block my progress. I start to lock the door to the universe, to guidance, to receiving new. Those 2 numbers in themselves, but also 7, I can be so stuck in my head that I can't envisage anything beyond either what I'm opining, in other words, having an opinion about, or again, fretting about, angsting about, even just forecasting negatively about, or even positively, because 7 is a place that asks us again to let go of all I know, even if it is bang on, even if it is perfect, really to the point. At certain points, the universe will ask us all to let go of everything we know, to confirm it, to verify how to implement it, but also to make the space to know even more. And that can manifest in so many ways. But you see, it's only at that point where we breathe, we release, and we are willing to let go. We are willing to clear out, not because we are rejecting things, not because we are demoting the value of anything or anybody, but simply because the more you let go of all atoms, the more all atoms will move as they need to. The more they'll move into the position that the entire orchestra needs them in so as to actually perform the symphony called life well. So play with these things over this next month to the degree that the last few weeks or so have been, shall we say, encouraging you to take a leap, to take a chance. Get on and do it. It doesn't have to be a big step. Just start trying, because the minute you start trying or doing, releasing in the right direction, the universe will very quickly send you clues, send you signs, send you hints that you're actually bang on the money, you're going the right way, you're not going to fail. There is no black hole unless we create it, and therefore you can relax and do it all over again. All the very best for June. Enjoy your receiving. Enjoy learning about receiving, stretching into receiving, because that's what it's there for. And we always receive best by giving Source the room to give. Take good care. Tune into part 4 on YouTube, or go through to the website psychicandenergywork.com.au to read about it first or even after. Take good care. Travel well. Thank you for tuning in. Let me know how this comes across.